Good morning, my name is Josh from CyclonesOZ, and today we're going to be talking about some severe weather over Western Australia, some severe storms now possible over the New South Wales and Victoria, some rainfall up in far North Queensland, and a tropical forecast overall, and then we're going to take a look at a powerful typhoon towards the end of the video. All of that plus more coming up in today's weather forecast. If you are brand new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Your support is greatly appreciated. So we will start things off over in the southwest of Western Australia, where overnight a surprising amount of rainfall has fallen, especially around the eastern suburbs and the hills. My weather station overnight has picked up 43 millimeters of rainfall. Bickley has picked up 48 millimeters of rainfall, with more expected throughout the course of today. This cold front has been a lot wetter than expected over the hills. However, rainfall ranging between 10 to 20 millimeters across the coastal suburbs and into the northern suburbs has been about what was expected. I did highlight the chance up to 50 millimeters, but I reckon that the possibility for between 60 and 75 millimeters is now possible, especially for locations between Bickley down towards Dwellingup. There will be some good falls over the course of today. Now, the cold front has moved through. It's moved through quite a few hours ago, actually. It came through in the early hours of this morning, and it's now into the central wheat belt between York up towards Darwin and Dalwallinu. The cold front will continue to weaken off and move further inland today. However, we've got showers and isolated storms behind this weather system. In fact, storms are going to be quite prevalent around the south coastal region tonight, and these showers here, as they stream up from the south and across the coastline, they will be bringing the chance of some snowfall accumulations to the Stirling Ranges and possibly the Paronga Ups as well. I haven't heard any reports, at least not anything off the news yet, about snowfall accumulations or light snow dustings along the Stirling Ranges. However, I would not be surprised if until about 10 or 11 a.m. today the snow was falling along those Stirling Ranges. Certainly some of the higher peaks there have a good chance of receiving some snow throughout the course of today. It just doesn't look like the rainfall is penetrating too far inland right now to where I can say that it's an absolute certainty. But some of these showers behind this system here, especially that are going to be streaming through over the coming couple of hours, when they do make it out to the Stirling Ranges, for example, they will certainly bring the chance of some snowfall up there. Showers will continue along the south coast and into the lower west as well, and with these showers as well, we've got the threat of some gusty winds. You can see wind reports here averaging between 40 and 60 kilometers an hour, down at a gust of 52 kilometers an hour, gusting to 75. Certainly quite strong winds from this cold front as well, and with these showers that are going to be streaming through, the winds will be quite strong and gusty throughout the course of today. All this weather will continue to ease off as the day passes on. I reckon the worst the weather will be moving through at around lunchtime or late lunch this afternoon, before it continues to ease off at around 3, 4 and 5 p.m. this afternoon, all in time for tomorrow when it will completely clear out. Some showers are still possible along the south coast early tomorrow morning. A weak cold front will brush up once again. That will keep conditions and temperatures slightly more milder along the south coast early tomorrow morning, but it will be a cold start into the central and the northern wheat belt by early tomorrow. Temperatures will remain rather chilly as well throughout the course of tomorrow. I did forget to mention that it's going to be brutally cold across a wide swathe of the southwest throughout the course of today. In fact, temperatures not expected to rise above 10 degrees for a wide swathe of areas between Manjum up across towards Mount Barker, where daytime maxima are going to be between 8 and 11 degrees Celsius. Very cold indeed, especially for this time of the year. We typically start to see temperatures warm up around now, but yeah, it doesn't look like they're going to be doing that throughout the course of today. It's going to be a really cold one, and it's also going to be a cold start tomorrow, as I have just mentioned, out towards Merredin and Southern Cross. Temperatures into the low single digits, potentially slightly below zero for some remote areas, especially north of Great Eastern Highway. However, again, I wouldn't be getting my hopes up for record cold temperatures in September. It really doesn't look like the sort of weather system to do that, and I don't reckon there's a chance of any frost either, especially into the southern wheat belt. I reckon there's a very slim chance into the northern wheat belt, at least directly north of Merredin and Southern Cross, but I don't expect there a chance of frosts to be that high at all. In terms of more winter weather for the southwest corner of Western Australia, it looks like it's basically packing itself up now. It's going to be dry this weekend and into early next week. Another cold front is possible in towards the later parts of next week, sometime around Tuesday or Wednesday, but it looks like it's been killed off by the forecast models, and in fact over the next 10 days beyond Friday morning it looks completely dry for Perth, and you can see it here on the rainfall accumulation map here. If I pull this forecast back to Friday onwards for the southwest, you can see negligible rainfall expected. In fact, the wettest accumulations around Israelite Bay at around 5 to 10 millimeters. Very dry indeed. In fact, it's wetter into the south interior, which leads us very nicely onto the next part of our video, which are some thunderstorms expected to sweep across the central part parts of the nation, and these are ones that we want to be keeping an eye on, that's for sure. So this coming Tuesday and Wednesday, we're going to see a low pressure system develop across central South Australia and central Western Australia, south of Warburton and Giles. This weather system, this low pressure system, will move into the southern parts of South Australia and then across into New South Wales by Thursday morning. And you can see it here firing up thunderstorms by early Thursday morning, right through Thursday, and then into late Thursday night and early Friday morning. And these thunderstorms here, this is quintessential wet season activity, quintessential spring thunderstorm activity here moving through New South Wales. This is certainly a problem event that we want to be keeping a close eye on. Reciprocated amongst the other forecast models as well. You can see the GFS calling for a line of storms on this forecast solution. And it's the same with the Axis G3 as well. It looks like all-round thunderstorms are expected throughout the course of Thursday, at least into central and northeastern New South Wales. This is very much a forecast that we want to be watching now. It's about this time of the year when we start to see these thunderstorm events start to pipe up on the forecast models, and I'm looking at this here through central New South Wales. This just screams severe thunderstorm outbreak for next Thursday. That's the 12th of September. This is certainly something worth watching now for New South Wales. We did have storms on the forecast for Tuesday into the northeast of New South Wales. They are associated with a different weather event. I was going to be taking a look at them today, but they've since been killed off, and I think the remnant energy of that system has been applied to this system here, at least on the forecast. And I mean, just take a look at how much convective available potential energy is going to be in the upper atmosphere here. We're talking about values more resemblance of a late October, early November event here. So these thunderstorms are going to have ample fuel to really fire up into what could be a severe thunderstorm outbreak. We're talking about heavy rainfall, potentially damaging and locally destructive winds, and small to medium sized hailstones. I don't expect anything too crazy on the hailstone front. Certainly no tornadoes or twisters expected either in rural New South Wales. We're going to have to wait a couple more months, or at least a couple more weeks, for that sort of activity. But at this time, this does look really interesting now in the forecast, and certainly something that I'm going to be watching like a hawk over the coming couple of days. So yeah, stay tuned for all of the coverage on this system. Now, in terms of rainfall accumulations as well for the 36 hours between Wednesday night and Friday morning, including Thursday the 12th of September, there's going to be some significant rainfall from this weather event. This is still thunderstorms, so the forecast is very hit and miss. There's details in here that will change dramatically, but in terms of a general outlook for this weather system, if I was to make a call right now, which I'm not going to because I'm still very uncertain with this forecast, the heaviest falls will be around Parkes, Orange, Dubbo, and then up towards Tamworth and Armidale and Glen Innes, and some of the tops outside Barrington Tops in Newcastle. The rainfall there could average between 30 and 60 millimetres, potentially up towards 100 millimetres as well under the right thunderstorm. However, again, I'm not going to be betting the farm on rainfall accumulations that are going to be that high. That just looks a little bit uncertain at this time. But yeah, right now looks like a pretty good thunderstorm event that we now have on the forecast here. Very much something that I want to be watching quite closely. Storms extending right through New South Wales into the south of Queensland as well, powered by hot temperatures there into the low to mid 30s by Thursday afternoon, and warm temperatures in New South Wales and Victoria will also provide the chance of some thunderstorms into the south of the states and into the north of Victoria as well. This is very much something that I want to be watching now, and if the severe thunderstorms is taking your fancy, then the next couple of months we're going to have an abundance of them over Eastern Australia, and this will be the first channel where you see the forecast for them, so make sure you do subscribe if you haven't already. Now, speaking of semi-tropical and tropical weather, we're going to give a bit of a tropical forecast now up in far North Queensland to start things off, and then we'll talk about some thunderstorms over the top ends of Western Australia and the Northern Territory. There's nothing too crazy, so don't get your hopes up just yet. However, over the next 10 days, some substantial rainfall is expected across Queensland's far north here. You can see some good accumulations averaging between 100 to 150 millimetres up into the mountains outside of Innisfail and Tully, and some good accumulations as well expected into the Daintree rainforest between sort of 80 and 100 millimeters up there. Nothing too crazy. The forecast has been reduced slightly. However, if you take a look at this, it's not all going to be happening from one event either. There is going to be some showers throughout the course of today. In fact, you can see them on the radar imagery right now. Some showers currently moving through, especially into the Daintree rainforest as well. A heavy line has just moved through there, and then through other parts of far north Queensland as well. Some showers are expected throughout the course of today. It's a shame that the radar imagery just refused to load there. However, if you do have a weather report for your location, then please do let me know in the comment section down below. I'd love to read it. Showers will continue throughout the course of today. They'll ease off by tomorrow morning before a couple of days of more drier, calmer weather. Showers not expected to be too persistent throughout Saturday, just in the highest and the most tropical of mountain valleys. We're also looking at some showers developing late Sunday and into early Monday, but again, nothing too crazy there. Showers will pipe up again on Tuesday and then through Wednesday and Thursday. It looks like showers will continue through the early parts of next weekend as well, with return to the rain late Saturday and Sunday. This is a look more of the long-range forecast forecast here, but there could also be some dry weather, which is what the Eastern Breath model is suggesting. But yeah, it looks like next week, between sort of Monday and Thursday, some heavier falls are possible. We're talking between sort of 50 to 80 millimeters or so for those couple of days. Nothing too crazy. Once again, I just really need to emphasize that, because every time I call for 100 millimeters, people scream at me for it not being much rainfall up in far North Queensland. It isn't much rainfall for them. 100 millimeters can fall in 6 hours up there and no one bats an eyelid. However, when you take a look at the drought monitoring map, which I'm currently obsessed with, take a look at this. Soil moisture values are much above average up here, and this is what we talk about pretty much every single day on this channel. I mean, take a look at the Daintree especially. Soil moisture values about 3 to 4 times what they should be. Some significant rainfall on top of this will just cause major riverine flooding. So when we talk about rainfall such as 100 millimeters over a week, which just tops up those soil moisture values and adds to the river levels slightly and just keeps them flowing and keeps them topped up, when you do see a problem event that could cause 400 or 500 millimeters of rainfall over a couple of days, which typically streams in sort of late November, early December, pretty much every single year, when the soil moisture values are high and the rivers are already flowing, that really does create some problems. So I'm just emphasizing here that the fact that the flooding problem up in far North Queensland could be pretty significant this wet season, certainly something very much worth watching right now. And another thing I would like to talk about is some storms expected to develop into the early parts of next week over the top end of Western Australia and into the top end of the Northern Territory. We're going to be seeing pulse convective thunderstorms late Monday night and also late Tuesday night as well over parts of northwest and Western Australia into the Kimberley region between Derby and Truscott, including Columbaroo, very remote parts of Western Australia. However, for thunderstorm lovers, this can be your first pulse thunderstorms for the northern wet season for the top end of Western Australia. So certainly might be worth the chase up there. These thunderstorms do look like they're going to be pretty consistent over a wide swathe of the northwest of Western Australia, and they could stretch as far down as Broome as well. And you can see it here on the rainfall accumulation map. Nothing too crazy in the way of rainfall, however, we're talking between sort of 10 to 20 millimeters up there. So some good rainfall to kick off the start to the northern rainfall onset up there, but again, nothing too crazy at all. In fact, not enough to flood a drain pipe, as I do like to say. Nothing much over the Northern Territory as well. Darwin could still see its first pulse thunderstorm activity sometime, I believe, late Tuesday night it was. So for Darwin residents, we haven't showed you any love in the past couple of months. Expect some more love over the coming couple of months, however, and it looks like the first chances of some pulse thunderstorms will happen sort of Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I'm giving you a 10% chance of thunderstorms on all 3 of those nights, which probably adds up to a 30 or 40% chance of thunderstorms sometime next week. So again, look out for those. In terms of other weather happening around Australia, there really isn't too much to be talking about. There is still going to be some heavy falls over the next 10 days in the west coast of Tasmania to amount to the nearly 500 millimeters that they've seen over the past week. However, again, it is pretty stock standard rainfall. Between 80 and 100 millimeters isn't anything crazy for the west coast of Tasmania. Quite a bit of it rather will stream through tomorrow night into early Saturday morning. Some more rainfall is expected throughout Sunday and then into early Monday morning, when we could be seeing some snow across Tasmania. But apart from that, nothing really worth talking about across much of Tasmania. In fact, the south of the nation as a whole, there is some showers here and there, but it really is patchy winter weather, and it's a sign that the winter season is certainly on the way out right now through much of Australia. It looks like the conditions are really starting to dry up now across the south, especially over Western Australia, but Victoria and Tasmania will be next. And just before I finish off this video, for those interested, we've got a typhoon up in the Philippine Sea. It's a long way away from home and no threat to the Australian continent, but certainly something worth talking about, especially considering how powerful it is. Take a look at this. This is Typhoon Yagi, about to become Super Typhoon Yagi. Now, we do not see storms like this in the Australian basin. If we did, all hell would break loose. This is one of the strongest storms that would possibly or theoretically occur in the Australian basin. This is nearly a Category 5 on what we call the Saffir-Simpson hurricane scale, which is a scale that the Americans use. It's a much more intense scale compared to the Australian scale. This has been a Category 5 on the Australian cyclone scale for about 36 hours now. A very significant typhoon indeed, and it's going for China and Vietnam, where a landfall on the island of Hainan, where the cursor is right now, is expected in around 36 hours, but for a landfall outside of Hanoi in northern Vietnam is expected in around 48 hours. It will be a much weaker system there, probably about Category 3 or 4 strength on the Australian scale, or about Category 2 strength on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane scale. However, still a damaging landfall is expected. This is a very powerful typhoon, that's for sure. And just take a look at it. It looks exquisite on the satellite imagery, a very significant system indeed. And this is something that I do like to do every now and then, take us up and take a look at a typhoon up in the Philippine Sea or around the Western Pacific. It certainly is something worth taking a look at, because we can learn a lot in how these systems developing our own basin just based off what this system is doing here. This is making the most of some very warm sea surface temperatures and sea temperatures that are actually comparable to the sea temperatures around the Australian basin right now. The sea temperatures where Typhoon Yagi is around 31 degrees Celsius, and I'm expecting sea temperatures of around 31 degrees Celsius over the north of Western Australia and the Northern Territory, especially into the Gulf of Carpentaria towards the middle parts of this cyclone season. So if you were to compare these two systems or this system to what it could do in the Australian basin, it could do similar things, and just a heads up, we could be seeing a system of comparable strength in the Australian basin at some time this year. But yeah, that's Typhoon Yagi with winds of 120 knots. That's 210 kilometers an hour, sustained with gusts up to 270 kilometers an hour, comparable to, I believe, Tropical Cyclone Veronica and Tropical Cyclone Yagi as they were making landfall in Western Australia and Queensland respectively. A monster system, that's for sure, and certainly not something that I hope to see around Australia this cyclone season, or in fact around Australia at all. It's very nice when those systems do maintain themselves out to sea. It's very ugly when they do beeline themselves for land. But yeah, it's been a long-winded forecast update. We've gone international again as well, so that's always a good thing. Thank you so much for watching the video to this point. Your support lately has been greatly appreciated on the videos, especially the wet season forecast. That's done extraordinarily well, and I thank you everyone for their support on that. And if you do have any comments or questions about the wet season and also this forecast, then please do leave them in the comment section down below, and I'll try and get back to as many people as I can throughout the course of today. A special shout out to the channel sponsors. Their names are on screen right now. They're the reason I have access to all of this fancy software to track systems around not just Australia but the world alike. And so again, their support is greatly appreciated. But that is all for me today, and I'll catch you all in the next storm. Goodbye.